Unlike the Byzantine text type, Codex Vaticanus and Codex Sinaiticus do not agree with each other. They disagree 3,000 times in the Gospels alone.
Scholars believe that Vaticanus was overwritten letter by letter in the 10th or the 11th century. The accents and the breathing marks were added along with the corrections in the 8th, the 10th, as well as the 15th century. It was a constantly manipulated manuscript.
It has places where people have added in the notes. So it looks kind of like a rough copy. It does not look like a final product, but rather it's a handwritten manuscript with annotations, with markings. It'll just have a word just marked out and then a word just kind of barely scribbled up at the top of it.
Missing portions were supplied in the 15th century by copying other Greek manuscripts. And this is what one person who studies manuscripts said. He said, all this activity makes precise paleographic analysis impossible. You can't really tell at all what the manuscript originally said.
Nonetheless, Vaticanus and Sinaiticus have served as the impetus for the updating of the Bible through modern textual criticism, the process by which scholars search for older and supposedly more reliable manuscripts that have been buried for centuries. Codex Vaticanus, as evidenced by its name, was found unused and in the possession of the Vatican Library. Vaticanus was written on sheets of parchment in a 3-column format. It contains most of the New Testament, along with a Greek translation of the Old Testament. Codex Sinaiticus was discovered in a Catholic monastery in the Sinai Peninsula in Egypt. It was found in a wastebasket in May of 1844 by a German textual critic named Konstantin von Tischendorf. At the time, the manuscript was about to be disposed of in the fire.
So this man, Konstantin Tischendorf, went to college and learned the critical text position and basically became a critical text proponent before he'd even found the Sinaitic Bible. Before he'd even really gone and had the receipt, had the evidence, had the proof, he already believed it. Okay? That's a little dangerous when people already believe something without any evidence and then they're going to go find the evidence. I mean, it seems like you might find whatever you want to find. He goes in 1844 to this Catholic monastery to try and find older manuscripts. What does the Bible really say? Let's really find what the New Testament is. And in this trip, he ends up stumbling across a monk who has a paper basket or wicker basket or some kind of a basket, and in it is old parchment. And he's like, what is this? And he's like, we throw this in the fire. We put these pieces of paper in the fire for kindling. And he pulled it out and he looked at it, he's like, this is like, portions of the Bible. And so he wanted to rescue it from this basket, but he made such a big deal about it, the monks wouldn't even let him have it. So basically, he found what he thought was the Bible in this trash can, more or less, yet they wouldn't let him have it, so he left.
Whenever they would make a transcription of the Bible and had errors or they made a mistake, they would burn it. But here's the thing, because paper's expensive and starting fires is expensive, they wouldn't necessarily just burn it right away because they don't have unlimited fuel. So they put it in a wastebasket as the next, paper that's going to be burned the next time they need to burn something or the next time they need to start a fire. So then some loser ends up digging it out of the trash that's already been deemed trash and then suggests that's the Bible.
15 years later, Tischendorf received authorization from the monastery to take the manuscript to Russia, where he would publish a printed facsimile.
He comes back in 1853, so several years later he comes back, doesn't find any discoveries, doesn't find that document. Then later he returns a third time in 1859. Now you have to understand is he's being paid for by a bunch of governments, and at this time he's being sponsored by Russia even, to find the Bible, right? To find these manuscripts. And he keeps failing and failing and failing. Well, this is like his last trip that he's being sponsored on. And the last day of his trip, he finally finds the Sinaitic Bible. What a convenient timeline, right? Some clerk or steward came to him and said, hey, I have someone to show you. He goes up into a closet, finds a big collection of manuscripts or parchment, and it's in a red cloth. He pulls it out and shows it to him. And Konstantin Tischendorf wrote about this.
Tischendorf said the following about what he discovered when he returned to the monastery again. Quote, "I unrolled the cover and discovered, to my great surprise, not only those very fragments which 15 years before I had taken out of the basket, but also other parts of the Old Testament, the New Testament complete, and in addition, the Epistle of Barnabas and a part of the Pastor of Hermas."
The evidence for the majority text, received text, is absolutely overwhelming, even before we start hearing from these people in Greece that there are thousands more manuscripts than what we knew about.
Additionally, the writings of Tischendorf further corroborated that the manuscripts, the Sinaitic text and the supposed Epistle of Barnabas, were trash, and that they were going to be burned in the fire. He said, quote, "While so much has been lost in the course of centuries by the tooth of time and the carelessness of ignorant monks, an invisible eye had watched over this treasure, and when it was on the point of perishing in the fire, the Lord had decreed its deliverance. In the Sinaitic Bible, the entire of this Epistle of Barnabas had been found in the original Greek.